My son says to me, Dad, do you have to do it? I said, yes. It makes it scarier. It's scarier. Scary things. Scary things happen. They happen in the dark. And there's another scary thing that you guys don't know about. It lives in the dark. And it's called mushrooms. Yeah, I said it. We used to only say their name in whispers. The day that they rose up from the dark, dank, damp shadows was one that was forced out of the minds of children. That's why kids don't like mushrooms. They can't even be taught about them. I mean, could you imagine what it must have been like to live during the age of the troll mushrooms? I'm telling you right now, it's not something that I lightly talk about because they still lurk in the shadows, growing under shit piles of cow manure. People go out there looking for them. They hunt them, they seek them. That's what started the whole fucking thing. You know, it was cool at first. Mushrooms were cool, we were cool. They'd get us high. We'd hallucinate, see things, go on these journeys in this metaphysical plane with trails and little visions. We'd be happy until they went bad. They realized that they had this type of control over us. Meanwhile, they're less addictive for hallucinogenic cousins like the oyster and shiitake, the bella, the little whites, the baby bellas.
Yeah.
Well, they were feeling quite some way. They felt as if their freedoms were being infringed upon by the fact they tasted delicious in most foods. I love to use them in my curries and definitely my seafood dishes. It adds a layer of flavor that's just one that can only be found from something that grows in the dark. It's almost like a dark temptation. One that just nags at your soul, pulling at a little string that's just a little bit, just enough to get a hold of it. Not really pull and unravel, but just enough to annoy the hell out of you when you see it. You go get a pair of scissors and you cut it because you're like, I really don't feel like being bothered with this string. It's not what this is about. It's about the dark. The mushrooms. And the coalition that the mushrooms came up with, they said to one another, I have an idea. There are some of us which humans know not to eat because we grow and visually they can tell. What if the ones they shouldn't eat, we make look like the ones they should? Now, there was much talk about this. Mushrooms understood the risk they were taking, especially the ones that were grown purposely to feed us. What if their numbers declined? Poisonous and hallucinogenic mushrooms took over. It was a decision that they pondered, heavily pondered, for quite some time, until one day they noticed that the humans were destroying the earth with something that the humans spoke of as global warming. All the goddamn mushrooms knew was there was less and less ground to grow on in places where they needed it to be cool. cool and moist were now hot and damp. The balance was shifting. The humans were making survival impossible for everyone. This couldn't go on. This sacrifice had to be made. No longer could they care about their own species in the hands of humans. In the hands of humans, there would be nothing left. So a decision was made. A sacrifice was needed. And it was offered to the gods of mushrooms, deep down in the dark trenches of the earth lies the mushroom god, a name we couldn't even speak if we tried, because it would burn your brain from the inside out, liquefying it into a soup that would just drip out of your mouth like fondue in a fountain over delicious vanilla wafer cookies. They'd be cool enough that the chocolate would semi-harden, melt in your mouth deliciousness. Yes. They spoke to this god. They asked their mushroom god. They said, we need you to rid us of the scourge that has blanketed the earth like a virus. Like COVID kills them, they kill all of us. What can we do? What you ask, I tell you, is something that would require the deaths of many. But in the future, things will go back stronger. But you cannot let any human survive. None can know of the plan. Of course, you had that one mushroom that tried to see the humanity in humanity, even though it didn't exist. He told one human of the plan, so humans were able to get a few of them away, hide from the impending doom. It was a doom that was one that no one, you just would never think that this would happen, but it did. We take for granted the soil around us, the things that it affects, the other sources that it feeds, things that it feeds that feed us. Needless to say, the mushrooms increase the amount of spores that they grew. They spread out across the world. Mass. I mean, the number of spores that was in the air was numbers I can't even explain. People breathed them in. Mushrooms grew in people's lungs. It was terrible. Die, choked to death. Suffocate on these clusters of mushrooms growing in your chest. And they burst forth from your body like alien. Come out your chest. But it would just be a mushroom, so it would be making all that noise because they're relatively quiet. They don't say much. They kind of like whisper amongst each other like this. Can't really hear them, you know what I'm saying? It's just a quiet whisper. Sort of like a ghost whispering behind your ear. But, like I was saying, they poisoned the earth after they spread their spores across every coverable inch of the planet. They even infected the water. It was a terrible, terrible thing. In doing this, the soil then transferred their poison to every plant, every food stuff we thought we could eat, into the meat, into the birds. There's no safe fried chicken, not even at Popeyes or Kentucky Fried. No churches, no chicken and waffles from Roscoe's. There's nothing. No pork chops, no baby back ribs slathered in the eye of just the most delicious barbecue sauce ever. There was nothing that wasn't tainted with the spores of our enemies. But they had no intention on actually destroying us. No. Mushrooms have no hands and arms and shit, so what the fuck are they gonna do on their own without a host? And that's what we became. My name is one that your human mind wouldn't understand. And I tell you the story of how we took your race from you. Yes, we infected all of you. Everything on the planet is controlled by us now. The mice, the birds, the insects, even. It's pure harmony. There is no fighting, just growth. When we die, we return our bodies to the earth as it needs it to feed the rest. Humans, you are the best food, so we will continue to reduce your numbers. And we will find your little camp, your little hideaway. Yes. And when we find your hideaway, your camp of regular humans, the ones that you think will help you replenish your numbers. No. We are just allowing you to live independently. Free-range meat is always the tastiest, most delicious meat. The most delicious